The world remembers the victory, but very few know how close this mission came to disaster. In the silence of space, one mission would change the destiny of humanity forever.
On July 20th, 1969, 3 men carried the hopes of an entire planet.
Their mission was called Apollo 11, and failure was not an option.
Their goal was simple to say, but nearly impossible to achieve: landing on the moon and returning alive.
Behind a diverse group of African American, East Asian, and Caucasian engineers stood thousands more. They were about to attempt something no human had ever done before. The United States and the Soviet Union were racing to prove their dominance in space. This mission was born during the Cold War, a time when the world was divided into 2 rival powers. In 1957, the Soviet Union shocked the world by launching Sputnik. For the first time, America realized it was falling behind in the race for space. The pressure intensified when the Soviet Union announced Yuri Gagarin's successful space mission.
The announcement sent shockwaves through the United States leadership.
American leaders knew they needed a goal bold enough to change history. Their eyes turned toward the moon, the most distant challenge imaginable. The promise came with a deadline before the decade was over. The promise came with a deadline before the decade was over.
If we reroute the primary manifold, we stabilize the energy output.
But what about the heat sink on level gamma?
Early tests revealed just how dangerous the mission could become.
T-minus 10 seconds and counting.
All systems go. Trajectory holding steady.
We have ignition. Confirm staging sequence.
And then, a tragic accident would change the program forever. Each failure carried the risk of human lives of all ages being lost.
In early 1967, NASA prepared for its first crewed Apollo test.
3 astronauts were assigned to the mission, later known as Apollo 1.
Without warning, a fire ignited inside the sealed capsule.
The test was meant to be routine, conducted safely on the ground. In seconds, the cabin filled with flames and deadly smoke.
All 3 astronauts lost their lives before help could reach them.
The tragedy shocked the nation and brought the Apollo program to a halt. NASA launched a deep investigation into what had gone so terribly wrong.
Major design flaws were discovered, and critical changes were ordered.
Major design flaws were discovered, and critical changes were ordered.
From tragedy emerged a safer program and a renewed determination to succeed. After the tragedy, NASA returned to work with renewed focus and caution.
Every system of the Apollo spacecraft was redesigned and re-examined. Every system of the Apollo spacecraft was redesigned and re-examined.
Heat shields were pushed to their limits to ensure safe return to Earth. NASA resumed its program with unmanned missions to test the new designs.
Slowly, confidence began to return as each test succeeded.
Powerful rockets were tested stage by stage under extreme conditions.
In 1968, astronauts were finally cleared to fly again. Apollo 7 proved that humans could safely operate the redesigned spacecraft. Attention now turned to the lunar module, the key to landing on the moon.
Just 2 months later, Apollo 8 carried humans around the moon for the first time. Apollo 9 tested the lunar module in Earth orbit under real conditions.
With Eagle's successful mission, the final attempt drew closer.
The next mission would be called Apollo 11. Everything now depended on a single launch.
On July 16, 1969, Apollo 11 stood ready on the launch pad.
The Saturn V rocket was the most powerful machine ever built by humans.
Each astronaut understood that this mission carried enormous risk.
Each astronaut understood that this mission carried enormous risk.
As the countdown reached its final seconds, the world watched in silence.
Engines ignited with tremendous force, shaking the ground beneath the rocket.
Within minutes, the spacecraft entered Earth's orbit.
Confirming orbital trajectory and fuel consumption levels.
All parameters nominal, Captain. Standing by for jump coordinates. Then came the critical burn that sent Apollo 11 toward the moon.
Earth slowly faded as the spacecraft began its long journey through space.
With each passing hour, the moon grew larger outside their windows.
For days, the astronauts lived and worked in weightlessness.
After traveling nearly 400,000 kilometers, Apollo 11 reached lunar orbit.
As Apollo 11 circled the moon, the most dangerous phase of the mission began.
The lunar module was designed only for landing and survival on the moon.
Michael Collins was left alone, orbiting the moon in the command module.
With a final system check, the two spacecraft slowly drifted apart.
Meanwhile, the lunar module began its slow descent toward the moon's surface.
Meanwhile, the lunar module began its slow descent toward the moon's surface.
Every second brought them closer to a surface no African-American human had ever touched.
Suddenly, warning alarms appeared inside the lunar module.
Mission Control had seconds to decide whether the landing should continue.
Mission Control had seconds to decide whether the landing should continue.
The call was made to proceed, trusting the onboard computer.
A Caucasian astronaut saw dangerous boulders below and searched for a safer landing spot.
With almost no fuel remaining, The lunar module hovered just above the surface.
Fuel levels dropped rapidly as the seconds slipped away.
Opening the hatch was difficult due to pressure inside the spacecraft.
Inside the lunar module, preparations began for the historic exit. For the first time in history, a human spacecraft rested on the moon.
A vital engine arming switch broke off without anyone noticing.
In the airless silence of the moon, the danger went unheard.
Humanity had taken its first step on another world. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Far away, Earth watched this moment in awe.
Here is the last vial from the C-Series.
Thank you. I'm loading them into the automated handler now.
And adjust the parameters on screen to match the protocol.
An American flag was placed as a symbol of the journey. Unknown to them, a silent problem threatened their return home.
Unknown to them, a silent problem threatened their return home.
After hours on the surface, it was time to prepare for the return.
That was when they noticed something was wrong.
Without that switch, the lunar module could never leave the moon.
Mission Control was informed of the life-threatening situation.
Inside the module, time was running out.
The core temperature is still rising. We're losing containment.
I'm rerouting auxiliary power now. It's not enough.
Check the plasma injectors. There might be a bypass.
With steady hands, the pen was carefully placed into the switch.
The circuit was restored, and the engine was armed once again.
A simple pen had saved the mission.
Now, everything depended on the ascent from the moon.
The moment of truth had arrived.
With the engine armed, the lunar module prepared to leave the moon.
The ascent engine ignited, lifting the lunar module away from the surface. The moon slowly fell away beneath them as they climbed into orbit. The two spacecraft carefully maneuvered toward each other in lunar orbit.
After tense moments, the lunar module successfully docked with the command module.
After tense moments, the lunar module successfully docked with the command module.
The lunar module was released, its mission finally complete.
The spacecraft was turned toward Earth for the long journey home.
The spacecraft was turned toward Earth for the long journey home.
A powerful burn sent Apollo 11 out of lunar orbit.
The crew began their silent journey back through deep space.
Day by day, Earth grew larger in their windows. As they approached home, the service module was separated.
The command module plunged into Earth's atmosphere, surrounded by fire.
Parachutes opened, and Apollo 11 safely returned to Earth.
Connect the starboard line now. Got it. Tether engaged. Capsule secure, moving to stabilization.
As a precaution, the astronauts were placed into quarantine. Scientists wanted to ensure no unknown lunar organisms threatened Earth.
Around the world, headlines celebrated a historic human achievement.
Millions reflected on what humanity had just accomplished.
Apollo 11 marked a turning point in the space race.
Moon rocks and data began revealing new scientific insights. The mission accelerated advances in computers and engineering.
Some questioned whether the money could have been spent elsewhere.
Over time, doubts began to quietly emerge.
They pointed to photographs and videos as supposed evidence.
But science and facts tell a very different story.
One common question focused on the flag, seen standing on the moon.
The ripples seen were caused by movement and vibration, not wind.
In reality, the flag used a horizontal support rod to keep it extended.
Another claim asked why stars were missing from the photographs. Bright sunlight and reflective suits prevented stars from appearing on film.
Some questioned the direction of shadows in moon photographs.
Light reflected off the lunar surface created unusual shadow patterns.
Importantly, the Soviet Union publicly acknowledged the moon landing as real.
Independent observatories tracked Apollo 11 throughout its journey.
Reflectors left on the moon still allow precise distance measurements today.
The equations clearly show warp capability is feasible within the century. We have to try.
Feasible, perhaps, but at what cost to our humanity?
It proved that humanity could overcome immense challenges through cooperation.
Scientists worldwide agree that the moon landing truly happened.
The moon landing stands as a symbol of human potential and courage.
After Apollo 11, humanity had proved it could leave its home planet.
6 more Apollo missions would follow, expanding human presence on the moon. The moon remained silent, holding the marks of humanity's greatest journey.
In 1972, humans left the moon and did not return for decades.
Plans emerged to send the first woman and new explorers back to the moon. The lessons of Apollo now guide humanity toward Mars and beyond.
Apollo 11 reminded us
that impossible dreams can become reality.
The moon still waits, and humanity will return.
It was not just a journey to the moon, but a journey for all mankind.